This is the Global Broadcasting Service, serving remote outposts since 1928.
Hi, everyone. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express monorail.
Caramba, we have something really big for you today.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
This is the DBC Pod with Phil Schoen and Jason Dodge.
Hi, friends. Welcome to this week's pod, the show for the week of March 17th, 2025. And Phil, we're not going live this week. Obviously, if you're listening to this, you didn't know that we were live or not, or if you're waiting for us on Monday,
you'll be waiting. You're going to be waiting a while.
Yeah, I got a work schedule thing for this week and next week, so we'll be recording on Sundays, and no live shows at all. Which is fitting since this is our 250th episode. Congratulations, Phil. You've dealt with me for 250 episodes, over 250 hours of me staring at my face at least once a week. I got to say, I think we mentioned this last week, but I got to say, outside of maybe, I still think we're in single-digit shows missed.
Yes. Yeah, it's only been a couple.
I think it's like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I think more recently we had 1 or 2 that kind of went around the holidays. But no, I think we're going strong. So happy 250th show. Thank you for everybody that's been listening from the beginning, and thank you to everybody that has been listening. Maybe their first time was last week. So we appreciate all of you.
Absolutely.
So we're going to talk about what we're looking forward to in the next 50 episodes, about a week. Next week is our 5-year anniversary. Our first show was on the 21st or 22nd of March in 2020.
Yep.
So next week we'll celebrate that as well. I don't know if we're going to do anything special, or we did a retrospective, I think, a year ago. So I think
I feel like we've done a number of those. That's why I thought for this episode we'd look ahead more than back, but we'll forward. See.
Yeah. And this week's DBC engagement of the Villains Land coaster. What do you want to see from it? That's some pretty good engagement. I did like how, Phil, you had to remind everybody that there was an engagement question. Please fill it out. So everybody on we
had a couple initially right when it started, and then it kind of dried up. I was like, by the way, there's still time.
Yeah. That cascaded a bunch of good responses. So thank you for participating in that. Okay, so first, Phil, something that you've been waiting for and I've been kind of tepid about.
Yeah.
Single-day tickets to Epic.
Yes. So that was sort of the big news that got people jumping and looking into things and blogging down various websites and stuff like that. But Universal did announce that single-day tickets to Epic Universe are now on sale. Previously, you only had to buy at least a minimum 3-day package, which got you 1 day to Epic. The rest of the days had to be at the existing 2 parks. And this is something I was definitely waiting for. And I know a number of people there, even on our Discord, a lot of people are speculating that this might be keeping things a little slow. There's a lot of reports of the Universal hotels. It's pretty easy to book things, even, for opening weekend and stuff like that. And we think a lot of people are waiting for this because a lot of people want to check out Epic, but it's not that they necessarily want to spend multiple days there going to the other parks and stuff like that. So I think I mentioned before, my wife and I are planning to go down for Destination D23, which is another piece of the puzzle. They still haven't put tickets on sale for that. There was a D23 event where the person representing the company mentioned next month. So hopefully we're only a few weeks away from finding out a little bit more about that, that sort of thing. But we were hoping to go down a couple days early and fit in a day at Epic. So we haven't booked it yet, but I did look into it and saw that the day that we would go, it would be $164 for our 1 day at Epic Universe. And so the prices range for the single day between $139 and $199. And they also offered some other 2-day things, which is, 1 day at Epic and 1 day at the other 2 parks or something like that. So making it a little easier for people that maybe want to check it out, but don't want to go commit to as many days and stuff like that. So I don't know, when you saw this, did this impact your plans or anything like that? Because I know you have your trip in July.
Yeah, it's still far off where, my mother's coming down to spend the weekend with us next weekend. And, we like doing family planning with the adults here. So maybe we'll have a conversation. It's rather pricey. I want to do it, right?
Yeah.
I'll sacrifice a day at the Disney parks to do an Epic park. We'll have our car down there. It's going to be quite easy. But, I mean, that is basically a $700-800 day for my family. If they're $160 a ticket or so in July. So I'm not really looking forward to having to do that. It's quite pricey. I mean, I wasn't expecting anything cheaper to be fair.
Yeah.
So has that affected my planning? No. It's just one more thing. So I think the next step, what we've been doing every week now, every weekend, where the family can get together, we've been just watching videos of just all the restaurants, right? So we have a list of been to restaurants and new restaurants we want to try.
Mhm.
Working way through the never done. And I want to shout out. I might have shouted out this YouTube channel last week or the week before, but Right Down Main Street
Mhm.
is a really great YouTube channel, and all she does is a lot of awesome restaurant reviews. So we've been rocking out her YouTube channel. She has some great content. But yeah, so like we want to solve: do we upgrade to the Disney dining plan from the quick service dining plan that we have? And if we don't, maybe that's some extra. We got to figure out how much more money are we spending for all these
Right.
dining things that we want to do, and then do we want to spend another $1,000 over this already expensive trip to go to Epic?
Yeah.
So questions. My question for you, Phil, is how many people? You mentioned that people might be waiting to book hotels and stuff like that for Epic. My question is, if you were going to do a Universal trip, you would have already booked your hotel at this
Right.
point, right?
Mhm.
I would imagine, because you're going to get a multi-day ticket anyway. You might as well, that sort of thing. So I'm imagining, at least for like the first 6 months that this park is going to be open, the majority of people that are going to do this, I expect, are Disney World vacationers that are splashing a day in Universal. I would have to think, at least this summertime.
Yeah.
At this point,
I guess either Disney World or just people doing like Orlando vacations
Sure,
and staying,
yes.
you know, like
Not
in an
primarily-
Airbnb or something. Yeah.
yeah, not primarily a Universal trip,
Yeah.
type of thing, right? Which is what Universal wants to get to, right? You just
Yeah.
like Disney, you go for 5 days, that type of thing. So like, and I think that's why Disney really was not panicking about Epic Universe opening at this point, because people aren't going to go down for just 1 day of Epic. They're not coming in from out of state to do just that and then leaving. So a single day ticket's not preventing them from booking the vacation they're already going to have. And I think everything in Orlando is pretty light at this point anyway.
Yeah.
So that being said, it hasn't impacted my vacation yet. I think we have plenty of time to decide on what we want to do.
Yeah.
So I'm not rushing.
Yeah, I have been checking just to see if any days sell out, because they did say, there's obviously a cap on how many tickets they'll sell. And it's, well, you don't have to make park reservations. It is sort of dated tickets, and you have a range and stuff like that, so they can kind of figure out that sort of thing. So far, I haven't seen anything about any days, obviously, other than like opening day and stuff like that, which had already been sold out.
Right.
So I'll be monitoring that. And if I start worrying about that, maybe we'll book a little early. My wife was saying she seems a little more eager to book and is like kind of ready to book the flights and stuff like that. I was like, well, but the Destination D23 tickets are on sale. And she's like, well, what are the chances of us not getting those? And I'm like, well, I'm fairly confident we'll get them, but it's not guaranteed. They are doubling the size. And she's like, well, worst case scenario, we just sit by the pool for 4 days and stuff like that. So she seems ready to go and get away from the kids and stuff like that. So, by the way, I did check. So the day that we're looking at, which is that Wednesday before Destination D23, I think it's the 27th of August, the single park tickets at Disney range from $119 to $144. So Animal Kingdom on the lowest, Magic Kingdom on the highest. So Epic would be about $20 more a person compared to the highest park at Disney, at least for that date. Obviously, it's going to vary by day, but just to kind of give you a range there, it's definitely sort of in the upper end range of the Disney park ones. It's kind of going to be similar to probably the Magic Kingdom day.
So this is basically, I just did the calculator so I can see the number. It's $800 for my family. It's assuming $160 for a ticket. That's basically a party, right? A Christmas party, Halloween party. That's the kind of way I think about it. And I don't think I'm going to end up pulling the trigger until I see the park.
Yeah.
I understand like how busy it is and kind of get that feel, because I don't want to spend $800 and go to a park that's jam packed. It's going to be a miserable experience just because it's a new park type of thing, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think this is a wait and see for me, even though I'm super excited to go to this park. But again, my kids aren't like super Harry Potter, Train Your Dragon, Mario, or Potter or Monsters at all, right? So
yeah,
I don't know.
It's a lot for your whole family when you're not sure if they're gonna like how much they're gonna like it, right? Because it's like, are they even gonna care about the Monsters area? And there's only so many rides, and you do a couple things, and they're like, "All right, I'm done," and you're like, "Well, it's 2:00, and I spent $800." Yeah, it's obviously a lot easier for me with just me and my wife, where it's like $300, and we're excited for a number of the things and a number of the food and stuff like that. So we're pretty excited for it. But I don't know if I'd be as excited to drop the money if the whole family was going.
Yeah,
we're kind of similar. I mean, my family, the kids are definitely more into, I think, Harry Potter than yours, but it's not like they're not into How to Train Your Dragon and stuff like that either. So
you have to buy those new wands that are
Yeah.
like $80 a piece or whatever they are.
I think
right
85,
now.
or something like that. Yeah.
So now you got to add that time.
I know.
At least 3.
Yeah.
So that's a $1,000 day for you right there.
Right.
Essentially for your. If you're
So it's a lot easier
your
when it's a
family.
$300 day.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I would certainly do it for $300, no question. If this was like if this was us back in November when we went on our adult only trip, if we had a single park tickets to get us to Epic, there's zero question that we would be doing this, right?
Yep.
It's just expensive.
So it'll be interesting though for us to see how much we like it and if we think the kids will really be into it, because we did enjoy the time we did Universal several years ago. Because then maybe next trip we are thinking about maybe doing a broader Orlando trip next summer if we like Epic and like kind of split it between Disney and that. But if we kind of have the view of like it's kind of cool, but I don't know if the kids will really like it, then maybe we don't make it a priority. So we'll have to see. But
let's see. Before we get on to our kind of 250th episode topic here, just some normal construction updates. There weren't many construction updates. It's been a quiet week. Nothing really in the Magic Kingdom if you want to count, unless you want to count like scrims moving around the railroad.
Yeah, I think I saw something where they dug up the floor in the Tortuga, like where it's going to be the new Pirate Tavern or something like that, but nothing major.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really put those things up. So it's just construction progress updates, not like significant
anything new,
or minor milestones. Animal Kingdom, nothing there for construction, though you wanted to mention that it was the last day for Tough to Be a Bug.
Yep.
So that's officially closed. I don't consider that a construction update. You might have, but I'm making a note here for you, Phil.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Epcot, you posted this. I completely missed this, but the Grand Fiesta Tour is open. Not that this is a construction update, but it's just a note that it went down for, I don't even have it on my list. It's on my master list.
It's only a few weeks, I think, right? Or about a month or
on
two.
the 19th of January.
Oh, okay. So it's about 2 months.
Down. That's when the water restrained, that type of thing. So I think there's just reports that there's some different effects, just different lighting. It's just kind of sprucing it up.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a lot brighter and like the new projectors and stuff. So it's the same film and everything like that. It just should look a little crisper and newer and a little less worn.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's good. Some people were complaining, but some people complain about everything.
Yeah.
I'll wait to judge for myself if it needs to be judged. I very much doubt that I'll get on the ride and notice that there's much of a difference because I'm just here having fun.
It's just nice to see a little TLC. I mean,
absolutely.
The ride it's not like this is going to drastically change crowd interest in it or something like that, but they just did the maintenance to keep it up to proper standards. So
yep. And then the last one, I've been like not putting this on just because it's kind of a running joke, but the only other update is Woody's Lunchbox Canopy is still ongoing. This has just been a weird one. Like they kind of fenced off the area out of nowhere. And they've been slowly just building like a Tinker Toy type of like
covering type. Yeah.
Thing. It's not. I can only think that the reason why this is taking so slow is there's probably like a vendor delay of getting all those like custom pieces of plastic parts or whatever they are, and that's the delay because there's nothing really major going.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's hard to get to it. It's not it's kind of in the middle of everything, so I'm not surprised it's a little slow. But this has been like years or something. It's like really taking a long time. So,
and I would give Disney a benefit of doubt only because I think they could just put this up if they wanted to. There's no reason to have this open construction. So there's no permitting issues. I think it's just potentially a
there's got to be something that's delaying it. And at the same time, it's not like something they had to do or something like that. Right. They're choosing to do it, and you'd think they just want to get it done with. But something must be going on.
That's it. Okay, so our 250th episode, Phil. You decided to let's take a look back and what it'll look like when we celebrate episode 300. So you had a long selection of like topics and questions and kind of things. So why don't you go through them?
Yep.
I'll let you steer.
Okay, sounds good. Yes, I think in the past ones when we've had our 200th and stuff like that, we've always sort of looked back at favorite show moments and stuff like that. So I thought let's look ahead another 50 episodes, which is roughly a year, and kind of think how will we be thinking, how will the show be going, and sort of what will be the vibe in the Disney universe and stuff like that. So first question I started off is, a year from now, will we still be doing a show?
I mean, I would think so. I mean, if we've done it this long, it's now just part of our lives at this point.
I think so.
Because we don't make any money off of this show. We're not monetized in any way. So it's not like, okay, we're losing viewers or we're not making any money anymore. So what's the point? No, we do this because we enjoy talking about Disney once a week. So I don't think there's anything that's going to be stopping us.
Okay. Any major format changes? I know we've recently tried to do the live more and stuff like that. Do you think, I'm assuming we'll probably tinker with it and try different things, but
we always tinker with it just to keep it fresh. The one thing that I thought about doing, and then Phil kind of wrote it to the show notes, but I haven't done it yet, is I'm kind of curious about the format on YouTube. Not so much the podcast listener, because most podcasts can be about an hour long and everybody's okay with that format. But on YouTube, most people like shorter form content in chunks of like 15 to 25 minutes. And I've been thinking about, okay, we record the show normally, we release it as a podcast normally, but we break the YouTube video down into like just 3 sections, and maybe there's like 3 20-minute videos or something else like that. That seems to be like a lot of extra work for I don't know how much extra gain, and I don't know if it's worth kind of spinning the show around. But those are the format things that I think about. Like Phil gets an annoying message in Discord from me. He's like, "What if we do this?" So Phil's like, "Whatever, it's fine. It's okay, it's still the same show." But I think didn't we last year go through the history of all the different formats that we've done?
Yeah, we've done different things where we had the like expeditions and we tried different things. And for a little bit we were doing the shorts, right? Release the shorts, so you cut like little 30-second snippets or whatever and stuff like that. So maybe we'll figure out an easy way to do some of that. I don't know.
It's easy to do it for like $30 a month, essentially.
Yeah.
there's AI that does a pretty good job clipping out the show, but it's a monthly thing, right? They want money for that. I don't mind clipping it, but it's like an extra 2 hours of my time in post-production. And with my job, that's been super busy, and 3 kids and everybody doing sports, it's like I just want an hour to sit down and watch Big Bang Theory at night or something, right? So that's been rather tough. Maybe if everybody shares our podcast and our YouTube channel with 30 people or 50 people, we can get 10,000 views. We can pay for a lot of this stuff. But no, we're not asking for money from anybody, that type of thing. So I'm not too sure if shorts were going to make us grow exponentially. We're just 2 dudes talking about Disney, and take it for what it's worth.
But I guess if there's anyone out there who feels strongly that there's a different format that would be like, this would improve my life drastically if you shifted to something, let us know.
That's why we're on YouTube, because a couple people are like, we love watching. We can't listen to podcasts, but we always put on YouTube at the end of the day and just kind of have it playing, because they don't listen to podcasts in their car or at home. So that's why we have a YouTube channel now. So we listen. I got a new mic because somebody said your old mic stunk when I kind of moved away from
moved away from it. Yeah.
I don't like this mic, by the way. I sound too like tinny, and I don't have the prowess to kind of fix that. So I'll invest in a new mic in the months to come. All right, what's the next question?
So, and these are just things that came to thoughts. If you have other ideas or questions, think of it too. But I said by this time next year, we both have visited Epic Universe. I think I will have, and I don't know if you. Yeah.
It's honestly, I put the odds of me going at 50-50, unless there's an adult only trip at some point.
Yeah.
The only thing that will prevent me from doing like an adult only with my wife at some point within the next year is that my wife doesn't really like roller coasters anymore. Mm-hmm. She was used to be a huge roller coaster fan, and now they've started kind of affecting her equilibrium and hurting some of her neck joints and stuff like that. So she kind of avoids them a little bit. She likes the ones at Disney because they're nice and smooth, but she's worried about like the actual real roller coasters.
Yeah, the real ones that they have at Epic. Yeah.
So we'll see.
And then I guess building off Epic, do we think? Like, what do we think the impact of Epic's opening is going to be? Do we think it'll be more business as usual, but maybe, more people checking out Universal, or do we think it'll really impact Disney at all? Or like, what do we think this time next year, what will be the general feeling about Universal with Epic and stuff versus now?
Honestly, I don't think there's going to be any change whatsoever. It's just going to be one more park at Universal that people are doing. Maybe there'll be more talk of like Disney Universal, like dual vacation strategies or something. Mm-hmm. My only thing is Epic Universe, as amazing as it looks, it's not a huge park, right? There's not that many attractions. There's 2 or 3 attractions per land times.
I think there's 11 rides, 11 like major rides or attraction type things. So it's not. Yeah, I mean, land wise, it's a large park to walk, I think, but
Yeah,
yeah, there's
square
not.
footage,
It's
yeah.
not like Magic Kingdom where there's 30, 40 things to do. It's
Well, that's my
Yeah.
point. Like, people are still going to go to the Magic Kingdom to see the castle, right?
Yeah.
Like, so people are still going to go to Disney. You might have people that splash a fourth or a fifth day to go over to Epic. I don't think you're going to see a demand for like a week at Epic if they weren't doing that already. I don't think that's going to be a major shift as much as Universal wants that.
yeah,
I really think they need to improve their other two parks to the point where it feels like those two parks are somewhere close to on par with Epic as far as the quality of rides. Basically, they have to expand all the Potter stuff. They're going to have to redo, like, they're getting rid of the Simpsons stuff. You can't do like the DreamWorks land that they did. Like, a lot of it's kind of just meh.
Yeah.
That what we see, they gotta up the level of Epic, right? There's by all accounts, Epic is absolutely fantastic. What people are saying about it, that needs to be the consistency across all their parks, I think, before
Yeah.
it becomes a week long thing. So, I honestly, I don't think there's going to be a major shift in a lot of things. We'll have to see what Universal does at their other two parks, I think, for it to have a major impact.
Yep. No, I think that's fair. It'll be interesting to see though if more people are like if people come back from Epic raving about it, like how they used to rave about Disney and said like, oh my God, you got to go.
Mm-hmm.
Do people like, okay, instead of doing 5-6 days at Disney, we'll cut a day off or 2 days off and do that. And how does that
I think
impact?
it will. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think Disney will see. I think here's something that just popped in my head. So let's say Disney sees a major shift in how many tickets people book in a package versus
Mhm.
like they have like you've come to Disney before, like you've always had anywhere between 6 to 8 tickets, but now you're doing anywhere between 3 to 6 tickets, right? You obviously see a drop in
Yeah.
the ticket packages, and then the put out all the different surveys. Do you go to Epic or do you do something else in Orlando? All that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I think you might start seeing a reduction in the cost of or improving the discount for the more tickets that you buy. If you remember
Yeah.
us, we talked about this before a while ago, where upgrading from a 6 ticket to a 7 ticket might have been like $50 for your whole family.
Yeah.
Now it's like another $100. Like it's more expensive.
Yeah.
So maybe reverting back to like the 2019 cost of a ticket package discount, we might see that just to entice people to stay more on property.
Yep.
That might be that. I think that'd be the only thing that might be what we might see.
Yeah. It would be interesting to see if they do. Cause I remember in the summertime thing where they were doing like, oh, it's the 4 parks for $100 a day. But if you did the 3 non-Magic Kingdom parks, it was only $89 a day. Cause I think those are the parks that are going to be impacted more. Like you said,
Sure.
everybody's still going to want to see the castle, but especially once with Dinoland down and stuff like that, like is going to Animal Kingdom a priority for most people? Probably not, as much as it used to be until Encanto's open and stuff like that. So are they going to do things with trying to push people to those other parks? I guess we'll have to see.
It's possible. It's possible. I think that's a good speculation to have. Maybe in the winter this year, right?
Mhm.
Like once we have the impact of Dinoland being gone for
Yep.
quite some time, I don't think that really impacted anybody. That what's closed now, like Triceratops Spin and all that stuff, I don't think that impacted whether or not people go there or not.
Yeah.
It's basically when Dinosaur
Dinosaur
goes
the
on,
ride. Yeah.
how that impacts the traffic to that park, I think it's going to tell a major tale of what to expect for the majority of 2026 and how
Yep.
people vacation at Disney World.
Okay. That's actually a good tease into the next question of
Mm.
what do we think will be closed by this time next year? Do we think Dinosaur will be closed? And do we think the Rivers of America, Tom Sawyer Island will be closed by this time next year? Or will that still be sort of pending?
All right, closures. We already did this a couple weeks ago, but this time next year in March, will Dinosaur be closed? I think so, yes, at that point, unless there's any other kind of major events that happen between now and then. Rivers of America will, I think, be closed by then, for sure. I know Matt on Dis Happenings is constantly saying, this Friday, I'm expecting the closure dates and all this stuff. I don't think it's happening anytime soon. Rivers of America is not closing this year. I'm pretty sure that's because, again, the lay down yards aren't ready yet. There's a lot of work they can do off theme park property for all the different areas where they have to do the drainage. I think they have to do all of that prep before they shut off the water and push the water out of Rivers of America, right? So when all that work starts getting done, I think that's when we'll start getting notices of closures in the park.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I agree. I think it'll likely be closed by this time next year, but I don't think it'll be closed until into 2026. I think we'll maybe get a date after Destination D23, because we usually don't get closures at those events and stuff. It's kind of more positive things. So I could see like a week or two after that, kind of like how it came out with, with like, oh, we're building monsters and stuff like that, but we're going to delay actually telling you what's going to close for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see something similar happening this year.
I mean, I can see Rivers still being open this time next year, and it'd be closed.
It could be,
for like it'll be stay open through like spring break period or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm just not confident on when they're ready to pull the trigger on this one.
Yep. Yeah. Obviously, they probably want walls up as late as possible, right?
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. So we'll see.
There's a lot of infrastructure work that needs to go to place before that happens.
Yep. And overall, like, I guess with building off that, what do you think the feeling will be about within the Disney community as overall? And I'm kind of tying it a little bit into Destination D23, where last year after the expo, while there were some nerves around, what does it mean for Muppets and stuff like that, in general, people felt positive coming out of that. They're like, oh my God, Disney announced a lot of stuff. Do you think that will continue through Destination D23? And in general, people feel a little bit more positive about Disney's actually doing stuff? Or is it going to be a little bit more negative? And
I think it's going to be the same.
Okay.
With the more tinge to the negative side, only because nothing would have happened yet, right?
Yeah.
I do not think that we get a turn to the more people are generally positive with the things that are coming out of Disney until Monsters Inc. and Tropical Americas is up and running. Disney shows that they're going to keep their promises and all this other stuff. And I think people are still going to be hesitant about Rivers of America until it's open and people can see. Maybe D23 2026 next year is like you get much more details. You get 3D modeling and all this other stuff about Cars Land. Though I kind of doubt that we get that next year anyway. Or excuse me, we might get it at D23. I'm thinking about Destination D23.
Yeah, not this year. Next year, 26. Yeah.
But your question is that this time next year, I think the community is just going to be the same because there's not going to be anything to appease them between now and next year, right? It's just going to be there's going to be blips of like, oh, the parade is very nice, oh, the villain show is really cool, and that's stuff like that. But they're like, you're still doing all these things and we haven't seen anything, and people are generally like, oh, Disney will screw it up, or it'll take 6 years to open, or
that's kind of what I'm thinking too, is because nothing else will be open. They'll be like, oh, they haven't gotten anything open in the first like 2 years of this. So that means nothing's going to be, it's still going to be 5 years from now before anything's open and stuff like that. So I fully agree until Monsters and Tropical America is actually open and there's new things to do. People because I'm sure there'll be some nice new things at Destination D23, but it's not going to be expo level where there's like 10 new things coming. So I think it'll be kind of similar.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, do you think there will be any adjustments to what's already been announced and kind of to the extent of something like they're going to cancel Cars Land or change it drastically or something like that?
So
or
these are only drastic changes you're asking.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there'll be little tweaks and stuff like that. We've only seen concept art and stuff like that, but the main crux of everything will still be as is.
Rivers of America is definitely going away. I don't think that's changing. Everybody else that's like thinking about ways how they could divert the river or save this, whatever, they're going to get rid of it, right? I think Cars is definitely coming to the Magic Kingdom. There's a lot of people out there that IP doesn't belong in Frontierland or Magic Kingdom as a whole. I think that's kind of nonsense. I think we're just used to the concept of Frontierland kind of being like IP free because there isn't any IP in Frontierland.
Or hasn't been yet.
Until Tiana has come in. So I think Cars is definitely coming in because they just want to sell the merch for it. They want to see that it's a big hit so they can start thinking about Cars, the next Cars movie at this point, right? Because I think they're in a franchise cycle where they're doing more sequels versus more original at this point for the next couple of years. So I think that's definitely coming. There could be plenty of changes to that too. I mean, like, we still don't really know what the ride vehicle is going to look like, the track is going to look like. We only have gotten Imagineers like on the dirt track in an ATV, kind of just driving all over the place as like vibes for it, but we still don't know anything. And one of the things that I was confused about with their the Imagineering YouTube show that was out last week. Remember that like paper model of like the track that we showed that had like different elevations on it and stuff like that? I had originally thought that was a Monsters Inc. model, but some people are saying that was a model for the potential Cars Land attraction to show the different elevations.
Yeah, that's what people are speculating, that the paper one was the new Cars Land, and then they they had it on the board too, but then I think it was clarified that that was definitely just a map of Radiator Springs.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, maybe it could be some of the elevation changes, and so I don't think it was the whole model. Maybe it was just an idea to try to get that. Okay, great. We have Radiator Springs, which is more or less flat, versus this is something that we want to have these elevation changes and stuff like that. But I don't know. They didn't really show it very often. It could be anything.
Yeah, I think it was just like, here's a really cool thing that we built. It's nothing, right? one of the interesting things, I had a very polite back and forth with a person on Twitter that was responding to BioReconstructs, one of his overviews of Epic. And it was a very snide comment. Let me see if I could pull it up. That it was kind of weird. I'm just going to pull it over here so I can read it, not have turn my head to the camera. It's like an aerial video of the fountains at Celestial Park. And then this person responded, if modern Disney designed this park, they'd create cement plazas instead of refreshing fountains. And I generally take offense to, not offense, that's the wrong word. I generally get irritated or triggered or whatever way you want. That saying, automatically Disney just, all they do is destroy, and make ugly things, right? And that's nonsense. And I just replied, that's a bad take. Try again. Like, you can comment that Disney's too afraid to make a new park. They're too afraid to do something grander or whatever it might be. Put the park in the park again, type of stuff. I mean, those are comments that you can tell. You can maybe say, to Disney that they might be going in a different direction. For that. I disagree, but that's not like a weird take. Like, they just make a cement lawn essentially for a new park. So the person responds to me and says, how so? Reconcile that with what's happening with Rivers of America at Magic Kingdom. Perhaps I'm misunderstanding your comment. It's still very polite. And I might have been a little aggressive because I'm just used to just nonsense coming out of Diz Twitter. But this is on Blue Sky, right? So we're all polite on Blue Sky. And I responded, you're saying if Disney made a park, it would all be concrete. And I think that's just hyperbole. It says, if you're implying that Disney is going to make, are you now implying that Disney is going to make a concrete area where Rivers of America is now? This is certainly the trend appears to be away from water features. For example, the transformation of Epcot and elimination of the fountain. Please, I'm not trying to be argumentative. If you're free to disagree with me, my perspective. I'm like, okay, at least this person's not typing at me. So, and I was appreciative of his respectfulness, but I only responded people get so focused on stuff that they really dislike, like the getting rid of Rivers of America. They're basically have blinders on for that. And again, I appreciate your perspective. There's a part of the park that you really love and it's going away and you just can't believe that there's anything there, right? We talk about this every single week. And I'm like, well, hold off a second. They spent, I don't know how many millions of dollars building Moana Journey of Water. That's just a giant water feature. I think it's pretty awesome. There's the fountain barges of Luminous. They didn't have to they replaced all the barges from Harmonious, right? This is all new stuff, more water fountains. And they did an excellent job with just using water, much better than they did with the other part. If you remember for Harmonious, the fountains on the top, I think, were just kind of weak, little. Yeah,
it was supposed to block the screens, and it did nothing.
No. But the Luminous fountains are really great. They have really great tech there. I really appreciate what they did. There's new fountain tweaks, a new fountain in the front of Spaceship Earth at the entrance to the park. They did work on that. And then I couldn't really think of anything else in the other three parks with water because I don't think they've added anything just yet. But then I'm like, Walt Disney World is still not the only park that the Imagineers are working on. Let's not forget in Fantasy Springs over in Tokyo, they've done some amazing water and rock features throughout that land. The Adventure Bay in Disneyland Paris with a new
I was going to say they're putting in a whole new lake there, basically.
So it's with fountains and shows and all this other stuff. So suffice it to say, not to just call out this one person on Blue Sky, I just, for a lot of people out there that either are listening to this and get kind of upset with some of the changes, or you have friends of your own that are kind of like this. It's always nice to point out that, look, you might be worried about this one part of the park, but let's look at WDI as a whole and all the projects they're working on globally. They are not just a bunch of ignoramuses that are just bulldozing everything and just filling things in with concrete and blacktop, right? They do some amazing, beautiful things, and they're not just ignoring water. There's no fear of fountains. It's just, Did we have this conversation before, Phil? I know we had it on Discord. I don't know if you have it on the show where, I'm a big stan for the new center of World Celebration, right? I just love that area. I contend that a fountain in that area, or at least that center planter, would be distracting to the overall vibe of that area. It'd be too loud. You wouldn't be able to hear the music.
Yeah, we talked about that, and I guess my point was if it was something small and kind of just had trickling water and stuff like that, it could be actually more serene. But yes, if it was a big fountain show and stuff like that, it would sort of distract from it for sure.
Yeah. So in any case,
and the one thing I would say is that, like, obviously in the concept art for Cars Land, it makes it seem fairly serene with mountaintops and waterfalls and paths and stuff like that. Now, if the end result is just concrete or dirt, like what they were looking at with like a BMX course or something like that,
oh yeah,
then I will call out Disney and say that's ridiculous. But I think the plan is, while it might not be a river, it's going to be scenic and have nature as an element to it and stuff like that. So we'll have to see, but.
But one of the other things is also, like, you think about the future state, there's going to be a fountain in Tropical Americas. I don't know how big or small. Maybe like a little tiny trickling, like watering hole type of thing for the center of a village. And then, like you mentioned in Cars Land, there's waterfalls, there's streams that are going through this. Like, so the water's not going completely away. And I think a lot of people forget about that too. They're like, oh, we're going to get rid of all the water. I'm like, well, you might have a big giant waterfall in the center of Frontierland that might be like gorgeous or something else like that. So we'll see. All right, back to the 250th episode.
Yeah, sort of the last thing I had was just what do we think, this time next year, the pitch from Disney going into summer of 2026 to get people to visit, what's it going to be? We know this year it's a lot of it's like entertainment, the new shows at Hollywood Studios, the new nighttime parade at Magic Kingdom and stuff like that, a couple new lounges and things like that. It kind of seems to push as entertainment and stuff like that. What do we think? Is there going to be, like, will anything be open by next year? Anything new, or is it going to be more of the same? Yeah, I guess Test Track will be open by the end of this year, but
Test Track will be open. I don't think they could. Are we specifically calling it the summer of 2026 or the year of 2026?
I was thinking specifically like this time next year. What would be the motivation for people to book their summer vacations?
Okay, that's a very good question. I didn't even think about that. There's nothing in the plans. Like, everything that they're working on right now is opening this year, or it's opening in 2027 and beyond.
Yeah.
At this point, right? Because I don't think Monsters is going to be open next year. That's impossible. No. Big Thunder Mountain, return of Big Thunder Mountain.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything else.
Yeah, that might be the thing. Like, see the new Big Thunder Mountain, especially if they add the new TNT effect, the dynamite effects and stuff like that. That might be something they push a little bit.
A new revitalized type of thing for. I don't think there's anything going on. Maybe do they pull a trigger on some more additional entertainment in Animal Kingdom? I don't know if they're going to have like festivals in Animal Kingdom or
maybe small things, but
you think they'll do a nighttime show in Animal Kingdom?
I think they'll do one. I don't think they're going to do anything big there until after Tropical America is open and they really relaunch the park as like a full day park. Like,
yeah, if Dinosaur is closed next summer, they're not going to want to try to get that many more people over to that. Well, you know what? They might. Like, if Animal Kingdom has a brand new nighttime show, let's say it's simple as just a projection show on the Tree of Life.
Yeah.
Right? Something that they've already done for the winter time, but maybe they make it more grand with more views. Or
maybe they just things like that. There has been the rumors of them wanting to do something else like the Merry Menagerie and things like that. So maybe they'll have some small things like that to try to draw people in. But
I mean, like, because everybody leaves pretty. Here, like, legitimately, I can see Disney doing this, putting on a new show on the Tree of Life, because the Zootopia thing is actually Zootopia is going to be ready, so maybe that's another thing, right? They could promote the new Zootopia show in Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, that's true.
Opening by the end of this year, probably.
Yeah, it's supposed to be open. Yeah, December,
winter of 2025, whatever that means. So I think you got Zootopia. I think they could pull some other nighttime stuff at Animal Kingdom. They might be able to get people to go there instead of somewhere, I don't know. Magic Kingdom's Big Thunder Mountain. Epcot is not going to have anything. I don't think, because they're not going to build anything in Epic until I would say after Tropical Americas. Like, we were talking on Disc or no, it was WDDM Magic. I kind of posted where we're going to do it. Yeah. I think Epcot probably has something announced in D23 2026 as maybe like in the what's the pavilion over there by Guardians now? That's
the one what was the Wonders of Life,
Wonders of Life, yeah. So maybe we get something there that's going to be opening in 2020. But again, nothing's coming next year, right?
Yeah.
So it's just going to have to be another.
Yeah, I guess they'll have the new mission in Smuggler's Run, right?
It's true. That's Hollywood Studios. They got couple little things that
Yeah.
like I Come every other year, and maybe that's enough for people not to cancel their every other year trip.
Yeah, I guess if you don't come this year and then you come next summer, between what's like the new parades and the new shows and the new Grogu and Big Thunder Mountain being open and Zootopia show, I mean, maybe that's enough to draw people in. Yeah.
Well, you got to think of it this way also. So let's say this year people aren't rushing to go to the new Epic Universe only because maybe they're waiting and seeing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's opening and they already have plans for this summer and they don't want to change them. Because you got to realize a lot of people plan their Disney vacations or Orlando vacations 6 to 8 months in advance, if not longer. So now just getting daily tickets kind of be like, well, some people can change on a dime and change things up. A lot of people are like, I don't want to mess with my vacation, so to speak, right? Or like, we're getting an Uber from the airport. I don't want to have to then Uber to another place or rent a car or whatever. So they're like, okay, maybe in 2026 in the summer, you see the incorporation of Epic.
Yeah.
And maybe this is enough just to entice people to do a split stay versus kind of like maybe just not going at all. Maybe the fact that Epic has something new and Disney kind of sprinkled some new experiences. Maybe we could do both where we weren't going to go down at all. Maybe it's the combination that gets Disney.
That's true.
Some admission there. So I don't know. What do you think? Is the pitch just going to be entertainment again?
I think it's going to be more like the things we talked about, the small things, the new Millennium Falcon ride and stuff like that. Maybe they'll add some more characters in Galaxy's Edge and things like that. Maybe they'll have a new projection show or something. You know, it's going to be small things like that. But like you said, collectively, you know, kind of like how we talked this year, there's no any one big thing, but collectively there's probably enough to get people that haven't been in a while excited. So not excited, but at least like, okay, there's some new stuff for us, and it'll probably be the same thing. And then there'll be ticket deals and things like that.
Yeah. All right. So I've got another episode 300 question for you.
Okay.
So early on in our podcasting career, we did a lot of bonus episodes where we watched like The Mandalorian. I think we did almost all of season 1 and 2, I think. And we did Loki as well. Is there anything on the horizon that would get us to do like bonus episodes again of something, whether it's a Disney Plus show, a movie, or anything? Do you think there's any bonus content that would?
I think it'd be fun if we tried to think about it. We even talked about that, doing like another like live show or something like that, an extra to our weekly show. So maybe we could do something like, hey, everyone who wants to hop in, we'll do a live reaction to Andor or something like that. I think the ones that jump out is if we wanted to do Andor, because each week's going to be almost like a mini movie, like 3 episodes long, or it'll probably take until the next Mandalorian season. I can't think of anything else.
I mean, I could see myself doing Andor only because I get on my Star Wars high horse and I don't shut up for 30 minutes. So you could just sit there and watch me rant for 30 minutes. And you just
get my popcorn.
Yeah, that's it. Just like you're just my one man audience.
Maybe we'll ask on Discord if people would be interested in that, on doing like kind of a live reaction show to Andor or something.
See, like I think a show like for Andor, which I think Andor season 1 was some of the best Star Wars since.
Yeah, we're rewatching it now, and it's just a reminder of how good it was.
I think I'm gonna have to start doing a rewatch. I'm gonna be doing a lot of traveling, so I'm gonna have like space for that.
Yeah.
However, like there might be with work and everything else, I might like I'll watch it this weekend, and then this weekend turns into whatever, and then all of a sudden I'm behind and I'm getting like spoiled from the internet. So I think this is gonna be like I have to watch this as it comes out, and
it's going to be interesting because
I want to be part of the internet discussion.
Yeah, because every week it's 3 episodes, and if it's the same as this one, each episode for season 1 was like 45 minutes long. So you're like, it's over 2 hours of content every week that you're going to have to. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes over. It's a different like release style and how people react to that.
I really like the way that they're doing that. I think that's going to be interesting to see how like the zeitgeist is going to.
Yeah, and the way they're setting it up, it's each year, each kind of block is 1 year. As we get closer and closer to the Battle of Yavin and stuff like that. So
I think that's going to be awesome. My a good friend of mine, we do watch a lot of Marvel stuff, or we nerd out about Marvel type stuff. And he came over on Friday night this weekend, and we caught up on all first 3 episodes of Daredevil. So that when you said 3 episodes, that kind of reminded me like, okay, we sat there for a solid 3 hours to watch because each Daredevil episode was like 40-ish minutes long or so. And oh my goodness, if we were an MCU kind of focused podcast, that show evokes a lot, right? We could have a conversation about that. But I sat my son down. It's like, all right, my son is 10. It's like, okay, you can watch. And then like I knew the show was going to be violent, but I didn't realize how violent it was
Yeah.
with the opening first episode. I'm like, I looked at him and says, "Do you want to go upstairs and like go watch something else?" He's like, "Yeah," because
Yeah, I think I
he was
do.
a little disturbed about it. I'm
Yeah.
like, I think you need to go. I didn't want to break it to him. I'm like, this is not for you. Because then there was a portion of like, was it the second episode where Murdoch was allowing the witness to escape in his apartment, and the two crooked cops come in and they fight, and there's just crazy amounts of violence. The two cops basically he killed them, and it was just like the way that went down. It wasn't like just comic book like
Right.
okay, you're dead. It was like this is how it would happen in real life.
Yeah,
This
it's
happened.
too real.
Like, I looked at it. I just had I've watched a lot of violent stuff. I'm not like some chicken that like shies away from like Hollywood violence, but I was looking at it, I was just like, my mouth was just wide open. I'm like, oh, that just happened, and I was speechless because I was not expecting that level of just like raw violence.
Yeah.
Anyway, 300th episode. Anything else we want to consider in the next year? I think we're just kind of plod along and just kind of do our show on a weekly. I hope to have a new background sometime this summer. I've got plans in my head. It's going to cost me a couple $100, and every time I think about doing it, it's like, oh, this other expense pops up. Oh, this other expense pops up. So hopefully I'm going to have something where it's nicely lit. I have better decorations. I might pan my camera back out just a little bit more so we can get a nice view. I've got the couple pictures I've customized myself, and I want to hang up, and they're just sitting on the floor right behind me. And I need more wall space. So I get rid of those bookcases back there that were part of the house when we moved in. All right, so I thought the show was going to be short. I got to get up in 6 hours and go to the airport. Community, how thrilling should the Villains coaster be? Exposed heel, steel, height, kinetic energy, all that type of stuff. We gave our opinions last week. We decided to ask the community as a whole what they thought. So, Phil, what did the community think?
Yep. So Mama Six says, I kind of hope the Villains coaster is fully enclosed. There's so many open air rides that go down during bad weather. She doesn't want that to happen with this one. But also would like to see a lot of kinetic energy in the space. So I guess she's sort of torn between the two of wanting that. I don't know if there's a way to sort of like be able to see stuff, but still be protected by the weather. And she does feel like it needs to compete with the new Epic offerings, and propose that it's Maleficent themed, rushing through and in and around the castle, lots of dark colors, blacks and purples, lighting and fire special effects, especially at night. So kind of focusing on that.
It'd be really cool if like if the kind of like Rapunzel the castle in the background, so it's smaller, but the weenie of the land is a giant Maleficent dragon. That would be kind of cool. Kind of like a much larger scale of the effect that they have in Diagon Alley, right? With the fire, something like that. I don't know. It'd be cool.
Seventhan said, I wouldn't mind something in the vein of Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts that mixes thrills with cool scenes in an indoor show building. Sort of like how Seven Dwarfs Mine Train tried to do it, but executing it better in a bigger, longer, and more grandiose scale. Would also be excited for traditional outdoor coaster that skewed more to the thrill sides of things. Just saying an outdoor track would be something different at Magic Kingdom. I don't know if they'll ever do. I mean, they kind of talked that made it into Woody's backyard, that it was the toy set and stuff like that, but they generally try to avoid the whole just exposed track and stuff like that. So I don't know if they do that.
Well, I mean, I think they could get away with theming exposed track, but the other thing that kind of popped in my head with like a generally more thrilling attraction is there going to be people screaming on this thing if it's like more close to a more traditional roller coaster that you see at Universal. And I don't think Disney wants like people screaming in their brand new land.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they do it some with
right?
like Expedition Everest and stuff. You hear people scream and stuff. I don't think they're afraid of that. I mean, I guess maybe how much.
It's not Magic Kingdom, right? So that's the only thing I'm thinking about at that point.
Fair enough. Yeah.
We'll
Meth fan said, I really, really prefer if it wasn't a new coaster. We already have enough at Magic Kingdom, and this park was based upon rides which everyone can ride and not feature extreme coasters like other theme parks. Any coaster isn't going to match Guardians, even if it goes upside down like Velocicoaster. And basically said that he'd prefer that they use new technology like the Peter Pan ride that they have over in Tokyo, that uses that technology to go to a bunch of different villains locations and stuff like that, which I think they could still do because we think there's going to be a dark ride as well.
Oh,
so that could be the dark ride. You know, I don't think it's either or.
There's definitely going to be well, I don't say definitely. I say there's a very good chance that there's going to be an any height kind of like Haunted Mansion type of thing.
Yeah.
Attraction that's the dark ride. I don't think it's going to have a height requirement like Rise has a height requirement. If I
Yeah,
remember
because of the
correctly, right?
drop. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think they're going to have that in this, but I think it's going to be you're going to definitely get a dark ride with that. I don't think we know that we're getting a roller coaster at this point, right? The concept art
We don't know
is
anything.
something
The
like
concept
right?
art had something that clearly looked like a coaster track, but I mean that was pretty vague concept art.
Let me stop you here, Phil. Would you be disappointed if there wasn't a coaster in this land?
I guess it depends what they replace it with. My big thing is I want to see multiple attractions. I don't want one or even two attractions. So
I'd like to see 3. I mean, what about like something like Galaxy's Edge, where you had a dark ride and then you had a simulator ride? Would you like to see like a dark ride, a spinner, and then a simulation type of ride? Like if we get 3 type of thing?
maybe that'd be okay. I do think there's something with at least something that has the kinetic energy and going through, and something with thrills and stuff. So I do think a coaster works well,
Mm-hmm.
but if they come up with something amazing that isn't a coaster, I'm okay with it. But I do think
I
do think the mix of having that like dark ride, any height or no height requirement type thing, and then you do have the coaster that is more for adults, and because this is the one area I get like some people are say Magic Kingdom should be for everyone, but this is kind of maybe the one area of the park that it's okay that if there's at least something that maybe not all the kids are into and stuff like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be disappointed if there wasn't a roller coaster, but I'd be disappointed if there wasn't something that was kinetic, right?
Yeah.
Like Cars is going to get that kinetic because you're just going to see the Cars racetrack
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I think Villains need something that's just not like you're walking in and it's just static, which is what Galaxy's Edge is missing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
That's the downside of the 2 indoor rides. Yeah.
Yep.
Last one is Wheezy said, in contrast to the previous post that said, I don't want it. I want things to be for everybody. Wheezy said, I want Villains Land to be more adult oriented. This is the one time Disney could do it in the land. Says wants almost Velocicoaster level thrills. He'd like to see an outdoor coaster that gets up to 199.6 feet tall. Hopefully it doesn't interfere with sightlines of the Cinderella's castle, but he thinks this is their one time to really hit a home run with like an outdoor big thrill coaster. And as other people are saying, they've been doing a lot of roller coasters, but he points out by the time this is actually completed, Guardians and Tron are going to be over 10 years old. So it's not.
He's forgetting that Monsters is going to be open between now and.
Yeah, Monsters will be a coaster. That's true. I mean, there's nothing in Tropical Americas obviously isn't coasters. Cars Land's not going to be coasters, but yeah, there's the Monsters coaster coming. So,
I don't think it's going to be a high level of thrill though.
No, I think it'll be
anyway.
like maybe Seven Dwarfs Mine Train level or something.
I even think it'll be Guardians level thrill.
Oh, really?
Honestly, yeah, with the speed and everything else like that. That's my guess.
Okay. I think it'll be a little less than that, but I guess we'll see.
You might be right.
All right. And that's it for this week. Next week.
Hold on.
Oh.
TL Madden had an engagement entry, but it was like an hour and a half ago. So that it was after we made our show notes.
Okay.
So TL Madden said he doesn't really want a Villains coaster, so I don't want it thrilling at all. I'd rather have a world-class dark ride and show. Coasters don't tell really great stories. And you actually responded. I forgot to put his post in the show notes. Not that I'm blaming you for anything. He's saying that we should hopefully get both. Because I think the thing is, I would like to see a coaster. I would like to see the dark ride. And I also like to see the villain show that's now being or that soon opening in Hollywood Studios. And if that's a hit, that gets ported over to Villains.
Yeah, I definitely want to see shows and character interactions and like kind of custom built meet and greet areas and stuff like that. I mean, I want a lot to do in the area. I don't want it to, I mean, as much as I like Galaxy's Edge, I hope they learn like what worked and what didn't work with it and kind of build on that.
Well, I mean, like when did Lightning McQueen Racing Academy open? Was it like 2018, 2019?
Something like that, yeah.
So it was only there for like 5 years, essentially.
Yeah.
By the time Villains opens, it'll be 5 years that the Villains show is open, potentially. Because I don't think Villains is not opening in 2027.
No, I think it's like 2029, 2030.
30, yep.
Yeah.
So that'll be Villain Show will be about 4 or 5 years old at that point. Maybe they move it, they tweak it, they do something, and you get your show over there. Who knows? No one knows anything at this point. All right, sorry for interrupting. What were you saying? Sorry,
no. I was just trying to wrap us up. Next week, it's already been talked about a little bit on Discord, so I thought it make it the official DVC engagement for the coming week. People are talking about music and soundtracks and stuff like that. So just lists are always good. So what are your top 5 Disney movie soundtracks?
All time?
All time.
and that includes everything that's Disney owned at this point, right? Disney studios, animation studios, Pixar, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
Okay, very good. Next week, we're going to go and just kind of celebrate our 5-year anniversary, even though we kind of did now, so we'll make a note of that. I don't think we do anything special that we never do know. Like I kind of felt funny that we celebrated, quote unquote, celebrated our 250th episode. Not that we ever number these episodes anywhere else other than our show notes to keep track of them. But we're not like other podcasts, like, well, this is episode 200 and whatever, or 300 whatever. We're just like, yeah, this is the week for the show for the week. So next week is literally going to be our 5-year anniversary. I think we have to wait till our 6-year anniversary just to kind of go back to do the retrospective again.
Okay.
It seems like every 12 months doing the same
Something like, yeah.
retrospective is kind of weird. So maybe we'll talk about the origins of the show again in next year or something else like that.
Okay.
Because obviously we're going to be doing this show because that was your first question.
Yeah.
So
and you
no
committed.
So
I
committed. Yes, I signed the new deal. Unlike Aaron Rodgers, who can't commit
who
to
can't
team
pick a
at this point.
freaking team and like, all right.
And luckily, we just got done doing our fantasy baseball draft, like literally 5 minutes before we started doing the show. So I'm glad that got done. We weren't sitting here distracted making our picks.
Oh, God.
Recording. That would have been awful. All right. Anyway, I wanted this to be a short show, but it went an hour again. So everybody, thank you for watching and listening. We'll see you next week, and take care.
Take care, everyone.